the early years of the 20th century, the White Star Line was engaged in the highly competitive North Atlantic passenger business.
In 1908, the technology existed for combining the utmost in luxury and stability with engines whose power and reliability would assure arrival on time. The days of the Olympic-class liner had arrived.
Gentlemen, 2 days ago I met with Lord William J. Peary and Thomas Andrews of Harnd & Wolff Shipbuilders. We examined proposals for the Olympic-class liners. As you know, I first discussed this matter over dinner with Lord Peary last year. Our purpose, gentlemen, is quite clear. We must beat Cunard and every other line in the Atlantic luxury passenger trade. I have here copies of the outline plans.
The plan showed a vessel 880 feet long, 94 feet wide and 100 feet high to the bridge level. This will be the largest ship ever built, dwarfing both the Lusitania and Mauretania, Cunard's flagships, but that was not all.
A glass dome and first-class dining room, very popular with the passengers.
Ooh. A gymnasium on left deck and a Turkish bath by the side of it.
Ah.
Is that a swimming pool?
Ooh. I say, a passenger lift in the second-class accommodation.
Golly gosh!
I propose that we, the board of the White Star Line, do commission the Harnd & Wolff shipyard of Belfast to construct 3 ships, starting with the Olympic, to be followed shortly by the Titanic.
On July 31st, 1908, a contract letter was signed in the Belfast shipyards of the Olympic, the Titanic, and a third sister ship to follow. On March 31st, 1909, a keel was laid down in Harland & Wolff Yard number 401. Construction of the Titanic had begun.
Drawing, planning, working, starting on Titanic, building, plotting, keel is laid down in the trailer. 3,000 ship completed, 3,000 members, ship completed. Beating, beating, dancing, dust, the men are working, hammering, soaring, taking pride in what they're doing. Building a ship that's sails, building a ship that's in
Titanic was designed with safety in mind. From this point of view, she had two elements in her design. Firstly, instead of a single layer of plates at the bottom of the hull, she had two separate layers. In effect, a double bottom.
Cheeky! Hello, sailor!
Even more revolutionary is that she was divided by 15 watertight bulkheads into 16 separate watertight compartments. Each bulkhead could be sealed in the event of collision. The Titanic could stay afloat with up to 4 compartments completely flooded. An article in a technical paper concluded that these design features made the Titanic
Virtually unsinkable. Here's the Titanic report you wanted, sir.
Virtually? Virtually. Look here, Cartwright, the man in the street. Don't use words like virtually. No, no, no. Here's your headline. Titanic, unsinkable.
World Starship Unsinkable Special! World Starship Unsinkable!
May 31st, 1911. Launch day. A red flag is hoisted on Titanic's stern, giving notice that the launch would soon take place. A rocket is fired into the air while he sits in the room to stand clear. Workmen are removing wooden blocks around the hull. The cry goes up.
Stand clear! Swarms of men rush out from below the hull. One man, James Dobbins, was using a sword to cut away one of the wooden supports. As it broke, it collapsed, hitting his leg underneath. His workmates dragged him away unconscious. When everyone had been captured by their foremost, the signal was passed along. All clear! All clear!
All clear!
All clear! All clear! All clear! All clear!
All clear! All clear!
All clear! All clear!
All clear!
All clear! All clear!
All clear!
All clear!
All was ready. A suspenseful silence filled the air. At 13 minutes past 12, Lord Peary gave the signal. A second rocket roared into the air. On the stand bearing the launch party, there was no ceremony, no bottle of champagne broken across her bows, only a gasp.
There she goes!
Amid the hooting of sirens and cheers of the crowd, Titanic moved smoothly and gracefully down the slipway to the river Larne. Titanic is the largest man-made object ever to be moved. The launch was witnessed by more than 100,000 people.
It's time to celebrate the work is out tonight. Majestic ship about to float, the pride of lights alive. One today she'll break her chains and hold her fast and still. The river Larne waits for her, its waters running fast and deep. Graceful she glides, may she serve her passengers and crew. For she will carry hopes and dreams of those who have yet to see her. The day has come to celebrate, the work is out to end. Majestic ship about to float, the pride of White Star Line. For today she'll break her chains and hold her fast and still. The river Larne waits for her, its waters running fast and deep. Graceful she glides, may she serve her passengers and crew. For she will carry hopes and dreams of those who have yet to see her.
Slowly the crowd, after viewing her for some time, streamed back towards the town. The Titanic was taken to a fitting station, where she rode hard, gently rocking from the time to time. The next day work would begin anew, fitting, forming, and shaping the empty hull to the most magnificent ship the world has ever seen. But that night she sat alone, dark and silent.
The injured workman, James Dobbins, was taken to the Royal Victoria Hospital, where, following an operation, he died the next day.
It is a long-held belief among seafarers that a ship launched in blood is an unlucky ship.
The attention and care lavished upon Titanic was now brought to bear on our outfitting. The specification book laid down detailed instructions concerning the installation of thousands of items. It was the sheer magnitude of quantity and specification of the highest quality which made Titanic unique.
Suite rooms B deck, the aft bedroom to be decorated by Harrow wall. The walls being oak panelled and the furniture of oak in the French style. This room to contain 2 cot beds, one 6 feet 9 inches by 2 feet 9 inches, and one 6 feet 4 inches by 4 feet 3 inches. This room to have a settee, Vogel and table in front, a 3-foot dressing table and chair, an electric heater, the floor to be laid with blue carpet.
The sitting room by A. Heaton and Company to have a round table in the centre of the room with 2 armchairs, 2 ordinary chairs, a sideboard, a cabinet, a corner writing table with chair, 2 of the lounge chairs, a fireplace, and an octagonal coffee stool.
12 rooms have furniture in oak marked A design. 14 rooms have furniture in oak with grass beds marked B design. 6 rooms to be Adam style in white. 4 rooms to be Louis XVI style in oak. 2 rooms to be Louis XV style in grey. 2 rooms to be Empire style in white. 2 rooms, 1 port, 1 starboard at the fore end of this accommodation to be in mahogany.
For the first and second class galley, 4 steam jacketed stockpit, 80 gallons capacity, made of the best pan cast metal with flanges, machine faced and jointed with countersunk bolts and nuts, polished iron circular top with polished mouldings, vanished copper, hinged cover, tinned inside and fitted with polished brass hinges and brass mounted handle.
Bells, 123-inch diameter brass ship's bell for forecastle and foremast, 1 9.5-inch diameter brass ship's bell for captain's bridge, and 1 17-inch diameter brass ship's bell for lookout cage and foremast.
During January 1912, 16 wooden lifeboats were installed onto Titanic's boat deck, not the 32 boats specified by the original designer. The first proposal, however, had been for 64 lifeboats. So many lifeboats would spoil the elegant lines of the vessel. Besides, the sight of such a quantity may lead people to think that the ship was unsafe. Under the Board of Trade Regulations and the Merchant Shipping Act, 1894, we are required to provide 9,622 cubic feet of lifeboat capacity. The 16 wooden lifeboats would carry approximately 960 passengers. The Titanic would be certified by the Board of Trade to carry a total of 3,547 passengers and crew. To accommodate this number of people would require 63 lifeboats.
On April 2nd, 1912, Titanic undertook her sea trials. At 2 p.m, Titanic travelled about 40 miles out into the Irish Sea and then returned, a journey of 4 hours. Board of Trade representatives were satisfied. The plans for this vessel, the largest in the world, lasted less than a day.
At 8 p.m. that day, Titanic left Belfast and headed for Southampton, her port of embarkation.
April 5th, 1912, Good Friday. Titanic is dressed in flags and pennants as a salute to the people of Southampton. Southampton was a port hungry for work. Easter Saturday, April 6th, White Star Line announced they would be taking on crew. The response was enthusiastic. With their precious seaman's book and certificate of continuous discharge in their work-hardened hands, seamen, stokers, trimmers, greasers and others filled the union's halls and company hiring rooms. Most were from Southampton, with the promise of wages again after a long coal strike, which had brought the port to a standstill for almost 6 months. There were to be celebrations in many homes this Easter.
Guess who's going on a maiden voyage? Guess who's earning top rate? Get off to the butcher's, I want the best mince he's got.
Mum, they took me on. I'm on the Titanic. I'm going to be a bellboy, Mum. They'll give me a uniform. I might get to meet some first-class passengers.
Well, you've fallen on your feet at 14 years old, just left school, and you've got a job on the Titanic.
Well, what job did you get?
Well, I was in the queue and I met Jack Arkwright. You know, Jack, we had seen each other for years, so we went and had a little drink. And when I got back, all the jobs had gone.
The first chance of work in months, and you. I'll never forgive you for this. It's the worst mistake you've ever made in your life. And mine was marrying you! It will be good to get back to work, especially aboard a brand new liner, and one commanded by E.J. Smith, a captain whom the crew of Southampton seamen sailed. The well-respected captain was due to retire after taking Titanic on their maiden voyage. At 62 years of age, this was to be a fitting end to a distinguished career. April 7th, 1912, Easter Sunday. All was quiet on the docks. No smoke or steam rose from Titanic's funnels, which she dominated the skyline. Monday, April 8th, saw a hectic resumption of activity. General cargo had already been loaded. Now, with only 3 days to go before sailing, fresh supplies began to arrive by train to be loaded into the spacious refrigerators on quay deck.
Fresh meat, £75,000.
£75,000 fresh meat.
Fresh fish, £11,000.
£11,000 fresh fish.
Bacon and ham, £7,500.
£7,500 bacon and ham.
Poultry and game, £25,000.
£25,000 poultry and game.
Fresh eggs, £40,000.
40,000 fresh eggs.
Tea, £100 tea. Coffee, £2,200, £2,200 coffee.
Beer and stouts.
5,000 bottles.
Wines.
1,500 bottles.
Mineral waters.
15,000 bottles.
Spirits.
800.
I don't know if I entirely agree with that figure. Yes, well, 800 cigars.
8,000.
It seems to be all to carry on. Wednesday, April 10th, sailing day. At 7:30 a.m., Captain Edward J. Smith boards Titanic with a full crew. 8 a.m., the entire crew is mustered, followed by a brief lifeboat drill.
Left, right, 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 left, right.
Lifeboats are lowered into the water. Present deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rowed around the dock. And raised again. The entire procedure involved less than 25 men and lasted just half an hour.
Lifeboat drill completed, sir.
Jolly good. Carry on.
Between 9:30 and 11 a.m., second and third class boat trains began to travel dockside and passengers began to board ship. One second class passenger, who saw the Cadwells, asked the deckhands questions.
Is this ship really non-sinkable?
Yes, lady. God himself could not sink this ship.
At 11:30 a.m., the first-class boat train from London arrived at dockside. These first-class passengers represented the cream of Anglo-American society of the day. As they boarded the ship, they were escorted to their cabins.
Mr. J. Bruce Ismay and family, President of the White Star Line. Mr. Thomas Andrews, designer of Titanic under the time of all shipbuilders. Mr. and Mrs. Isidore Strauss, owner of Macy's, the largest department store. Mr. George Widener and his son Harry, the Widener family, a huge fortune building street cars. Mr. John B. Thayer, second vice president of the Pennsylvania Railroad. Mr. Harry Molson, of the Montreal Banking and Rowing Dynasty. Major Arch Bonpland, military aide to the President of the United States of America and a close friend of Theodore Roosevelt. Colonel John Jacob Astor, Portuguese owner of Harrow Way School, great-grandson of a fur trader who extended the family's wealth of property acquisitions, especially in hotels.
Astor had recently been involved in a scandal when he divorced his wife and then married an 18-year-old girl from New York. He and a now pregnant Madeline were returning from a trip to Egypt and Europe where they'd been out of the range of reporters.
Also on board was a man travelling in second class, calling himself Hoffman. He had with him 2 boys and he said he was
Taking the boys to visit relatives in America. But really his name was Lavishry, and he was kidnapping his children with his estranged wife.
It was coming close to 12 noon, departure time. Now, crowds lined at the quayside to bid farewell. Tugboats from position, officers and crew were at their station.
Moments before noon, white gushes of steam flowed through Titanic's huge whistle, announcing her imminent departure. As the Blue Peter was run up the foremast, the whistle spoke, again and again in the traditional 3 salutes in departure.
Goodbye, Titanic!
As the tugs maneuvered Titanic from the dock and into the River Test, there was a tremor as the huge bronze boat began to turn. Slowly, the Titanic's bow began to cut through the water.
As Titanic passed by berth 38, a huge surge of water she created caused the vessel New York to rise and fall violently, snapping her mooring lines and allowing her to drift free.
New York's stern swung out, was headed for a collision with Titanic. Captain Smith saw the danger.
Engines full astern! Stand by the anchor!
Just 4 feet between them, the tug broke the bulk prevented the 2 ships from colliding.
Titanic's departure was delayed by over an hour. When all ships were again secure, Titanic was signaled to proceed. Once again she made her way out to the docks, a little more slowly and cautiously, then out into the English Channel, where the first port of call was Cherbourg.
As Titanic arrived off the port of Cherbourg, the sky was awash with the reds, blues and yellows of a fine spring sunset. At 6:30 p.m, she disembarked 22 cross-channel passengers and took on board 274 new passengers, 142 first, 30 second and 102 third-class passengers.
The third-class continental passengers were a mixture of Syrians, Croatians, Armenians, and other Middle East nationals. Their travel arrangements called for departure by the first available ship. They were pleased and surprised to find themselves aboard Titanic. Very few spoke English.
Right, your accommodation is forward on G deck. Now if you follow me, please. You follow me.
you can't go there. That's first class.
Oh dear, oh dear. As dusk fell, Titanic made a magnificent sight with all her lights aglow. As one observer said,
Perhaps then, more than at any other time, she was a lovely little ship as people thought her to be. Her outline was clearly etched in light, with each porthole gleaming like a star, and her mast had lamps, winking in the waving breeze.
shortly after 8 p.m, Titanic was again underway. Out through the West Passage and into England's Channel, around England's south coast and into the lower reaches of St George's Channel, Titanic glided through the night her passage from Cherbourg to Queenstown Island.
On shore awaiting Titanic's arrival was 1,385 sacks of mail, 7 second-class and 113 third-class passengers. Many of the third-class passengers were trying to escape the poverty of Ireland and build a new, more prosperous life in the United States of America.
Hold my hand, come with me, and such new lands, on shore so far away, just wave goodbye to friends I've known. Share a home, share a dream, with white starlight, on shore so far away, just take a chance to start anew. Just picture me with all I own, new dreams so grand, imagine days we're lost and all alone on shores so far, far
Titanic anchored 2 miles off of Queenstown. Tenders came out to disembark a few passengers and to transfer the mail and new passengers on board. The journey from shore to ship took half an hour.
One of the disembarked passengers, Father M. Francis Brown, a keen photographer who had taken many pictures of the ship. It was to be the last picture of Titanic afloat.
With a wide turn to starboard, the green fields and sloping hills of Southern Ireland slipped past.
At sea, the rich, titled, and famous in first class lived a life of the highest luxury, unsurpassed by even the grandest hotel on earth. The kings and queens of New York society played away the hours. Not surprisingly, the Titanic was nicknamed the Millionaire Special in some newspapers.
on the first class deck, see the high and mighty, live a life so rich and fair. See the coins and jewels, silks and furs so dainty. Let us dance and sing tonight. Waltz with me, dance with me, hoping all of this is here to stay. On the first class deck, see the high and mighty, live a life so rich and fair. See the clothes and jewels, silks and furs so dainty. Let us dance and sing tonight. Waltz with me, dance with me, hoping all of this is here to stay.
Second-class passengers, though not as fabulously rich as first class, were nonetheless comfortably off. They were managers, academics, small businessmen and professionals. One of their greatest pleasures was strolling along the open second-class promenade deck.
the ever-growing population of poorer Europeans received a better life in America. These were third-class or steerage passengers. Though their accommodation was not as grand as that on higher decks, the third-class facilities on Titanic were of a higher standard than on many other vessels of the day.
I do dream to work for a millionaire and wear his sky blue uniform. I sweep and polish all day long and wax the hard to see. Dream to work on Mary's bus, sitting on the flash of the land. I stink and clean and do the whole right work so hard you'll see. You could join us all upon this ship and sail away to America. And you like waves our prospects that I'd work so hard you'll see.
On board in first class were a honeymoon couple, Daniel and Mary Marvin, aged 19 and 18. Daniel's father was head of Mary's largest film studios. Their wedding was the first to ever be recorded on film. They were very popular, much admired, and very much in love.
Our spirits rise from this new life. We have one hope that fills us all, that we should find across the sea what we desire for you and me. A life fulfilled this way and now. Titanic, take us across the sea. As we watch as night draws in, the mighty ocean holds no fear. Titanic strength will keep us safe and help us to our destiny. As Mother Nature bends the knee, Titanic, take us across the sea.
Friday and Saturday had been uneventful, typical days during a mid-April North Atlantic crossing. This was Sunday, April 14th, 1912. At 75 revolutions per minute, the propellers drove Titanic into smooth sea at 21.5 knots. At 9 a.m., Titanic received a wireless signal from the vessel Caronia.
Captain Titanic. Westbound steamers report birds, growlers and field ice. from 42 degrees north, 49 degrees, from 59 degrees west. April 12. Compliments. Bath.
The message was delivered to Captain Smith, who posted it for his officers to read and note. At 1:42, a message from the Baltic. Greek steamer Athene reports passing icebergs and large quantities of field ice today in latitude 41 degrees 51 minutes north, longitude 49 degrees 52 minutes west. Wish you a Titanic all success. Barbara. The message was handed to Captain Smith when he was in conversation with Bruce Ismay. Smith handed the copy to Ismay, who put it in his pocket. Later, Ismay showed the message to several passengers.
Mr. Ismay, we've heard talk of growlers. What is a growler? An iceberg stands out clear on the water. A growler is a low, flat section of ice. Dangerous? Oh, very. But not to us.
At 1:45, a private message from the liner America to Washington, D.C. was received and relayed by Titanic.
America passed two large icebergs, 41 degrees, 27 minutes north, 50 degrees, 8 minutes west, at 8:40.
Since the message concerned navigation, it should have been sent to the bridge for attention. It was not.
5:30 p.m. Passengers taking moors between decks noticed a change in air temperature. Between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m., the air temperature dropped 10 degrees to 33 degrees Fahrenheit, just 1 degree above freezing point.
At 6 p.m., Second Officer Lightoller relieved Chief Officer Wilde on the deck. At 7:30 p.m., a wireless message from Californian to Antillean was overheard by Titanic.
Captain, Antillean, 6:30 am current ship's time. Latitude 42 degrees 3 minutes north, longitude 49 degrees 9 minutes west. 3 large bergs are south of us. Regards, Lord.
I took the message to one of the officers in the bridge. Captain Smith was not personally advised of this latest ice message. It was in the a la carte restaurant, enjoying dinner, at a party given by Mr. and Mrs. George D. White.
At 8:55 p.m., Captain Smith excuses himself from the dinner party. He went directly to the bridge.
There's not much wind.
No, it's a flat calm. It's a pity the wind hasn't kept up with us as we're going through the ice region.
The officers knew that in a calm sea there'd be no wind to break against the icebergs, making it easier for the lookouts to see. Spotting an iceberg on a dead, calm, moonless night such as this one was not going to be easy.
If it becomes all doubtful, let me know at once.
At 9:20, Captain Smith retired for the night. At 9:30, Officer Lightoller sent a message to the lookouts positioned in the crow's nest 50 feet up the forward mast.
Keep an eye out for ice particles and growlers until daylight. Well, it would help if I had some binoculars. What happened to the binoculars anyway?
They had been left behind in a locker in Southampton.
In the Marconi shack, operator Howard Bride had taken a nap. Now, senior operator Jack Phillips was alone and extremely busy communicating private and commercial messages to the Cape Race store station. At 9:40, he received a message from the vessel Misaba.
From Misaba to Titanic, latitude 42 degrees north to 41 degrees 25 minutes, longitude 49 degrees west to longitude 50 degrees 30 minutes west. Saw much heavy pack ice and a great number of large icebergs, also field ice. Weather good, clear.
Jack Phillips was too busy. The message never reached the bridge.
At 10:30 p.m., the eastward-bound freighter Rappahannock emerged from her passage through an extensive ice field, during which she had sustained damage to her rudder. As her acting master, seeing Titanic's lights beam, contacted her by a Morse signal lamp.
Have just passed through heavy ice field and several icebergs. Reply, message received. Thank you, good night.
Jack Phillips was hard at work in the Marconi room, sending business and private messages to the radio station at Cape Race on behalf of the passengers. Stopped in ice some 19 miles north of Titanic's position was the freighter California.
Signal all ships in the area, notifying of our position and situation. I'm not moving another inch in this darkness with so much ice around.
Aye, aye, sir. We are stopped, surrounded by ice.
Keep out! Shut up! You're jarring my signal. I'm working Cape Race.
Charming. I'm off to bed.
The sound of 7 bells marked 11:30 p.m. Sunday was almost over. The ice warnings Titanic had received during that day showed a picture of a huge ice field, some 7 to 8 miles long and 10 miles wide, which lay right in her path, but no one had put them together. And still, Titanic was making its way through the ice-cold, dead calm starlit sea.
Reg, do you see that haze up ahead? There's something.
3 rings on the lookout bell. Object directly ahead.
Iceberg right ahead, sir!
Thank you. Iceberg right ahead. Engine stop. Full astern, hard stop.
As Titanic slowly changed course to port, he read the printed instructions posted near the helmsman.
In case of emergency, to close watertight doors on tank top, press bell. Push for 10 seconds to give alarm. Then move switch to on position and keep it there.
He brought down the watertight doors, sealing all 15 watertight bunkheads, and waited.
His prompt action had avoided a head-on collision. Titanic swept past the side of the bird, but a ground hard spurt struck Titanic's underbelly on the starboard side, 12 feet above the keel, opening a thin gash no more than an inch wide, but extending some 300 feet. At the moment of impact, most people on board were completely unaware that anything untoward had happened.
Many were asleep. Quartermaster George Thomas Rowe was standing watch on the afterdeck. He felt a curious motion break descending above the engines.
Coming towards him, he saw what he thought to be a sailing ship with its white sail set. Then he realised it was an iceberg, tank perhaps 100 feet above the water.
The next instant it was gone, drifting astern into the dark.
Second-class passenger Lawrence Beasley is reading in his cabin, notices nothing more than what seems to be an extra heave of the ship's engine and a slight dancing movement of his bunk mattress.
Four dining room stewards were now sat in first-class dining saloon. As they chatted, a faint grinding jar seemed to come from deep within the ship. It was not much, but enough to break the conversation and rattle the silver set for next morning's breakfast.
I know what that is. We've thrown a propeller. You know what that means? Back to Highland and Wolf with plenty of time to enjoy the hospitality of the port. Another Belfast trip.
In the galley, Chief Knight Baker, Walter Belford, went to pan of fresh rolls, clatter off the oven and scatter on the floor. Mrs. E.D. Appleton felt hardly any shock at all, but noticed an unpleasant ripping sound.
Like someone tearing a long strip of calico.
Lady Cosmo Duff Gordon felt more of a jolt. As she awoke, she said it seemed as though somebody had drawn a giant finger down the side of the ship. In Boiler Room 6, leading fireman Frederick Barrett hears a sound like thunder rolling towards him and he's astonished to see water pouring through a gash in the side. The watertight door closes in front of him and he uses an emergency ladder to escape.
Thomas Andrews, Harland Water Director and designer of Titanic, has spent his evening poring over plans. He was so absorbed in his work that he noticed nothing until a knock on the door summoned him to the bridge.
At 11:55 p.m., 15 minutes after the collision, the post office forward on G-deck is already flooding. The postal clerks are struggling through 2 feet of water to save 200 pouches of registered mail.
I watched as Thomas Andrews inspected the damage below decks and made some calculations. Water had risen 14 feet above the keel in the first 10 minutes. Titanic could stay afloat with any 2 of her 16 compartments completely flooded. She could even stay afloat with her first 4 compartments gone. But not with all 5 of her first compartments completely flooded. The ship was doomed. How long have we?
An hour and a half, possibly 2, or much longer. The ship will sink, it can't be true. The water's flooding and there's no more we can do. Tonight we cry, lives will be lost. The white iceberg has ripped us all apart. She's built her boundaries so strong, how could we be so right and wrong? How can she sink here tonight? The ship will sink,
She's made of mine. The white iceberg has ripped us all apart. The water falls across flooded decks. The women and their children must be saved. She's built her last life on her strong. How could we be so wretched wrong? God help us all on this night. We have no plans for these events. We must evacuate the passengers and crew. God help us all upon this night. The water's flooding in, there's no more we can do. She's built her last life on her strong. How could we be so wretched wrong? God help us all on this night. I can't believe this tragedy. The lifeboats must be launched, save all we can. We went so fast, so confident. We felt the ice field held no fears for us. She's built her last life on her strong. How could I be so wretched wrong? How can she sing here tonight? Instruct the crew to maintain discipline at all times on the decks. The women and children must go first. The men must take their chances. So Mr. Andrew, you shall see how we will earn a place in tragic history. The ship will sink, it can't be true. The water's flooding in, there's no more we can do. Tonight we fear down! Uncover the lifeboats! First Officer Murdoch, muster the passengers! Sixth Officer Moody, get out the list of boat assignments and bring the opposition!
All Titanic's lifeboats together carry 1,178 people, but on this Sunday night there were 2,207 souls on board. This supplemental discrepancy was known by none of the passengers and few of the crew.
Captain Smith hurries from the bridge. Chief Telegrapher is John Phillips.
Send the call for assistance.
Signal distress call, sir.
Yes, at once.
He handed Phillips a slip of paper with the Titanic's estimated position. At 12:15 a.m., Phillips began to tap letters CQD at the time of the international distress call. Again and again, the signal went out into the cold blue Atlantic night.
News of the collision is beginning to spread through the ship. Many passengers, some still dazed from their sudden awakening, line up at the counter of the ship's purse office to claim their valuables. There is an air of urgency, but no confusion.
Second Officer Lightoller is in charge of loading the boats on the port side. He called for women and children. The response was anything but enthusiastic. Why trade the bright decks of the Titanic for a few dark hours in a rowboat? Surely we're safer on here than on that little boat.
As Mrs. Jane Stewart White climbed into a boat, her friend called,
When you get back, you'll need a pass. You can't get back on tomorrow without a pass.
Mrs. Constance Willard flatly refused to enter the boat.
No, I'm not going to let you hear me refuse. No, no.
Don't waste time. Let her go if she won't get in.
12:25 a.m. Colonel Archibald Gracie, in search of extra blankets for the boat, meets Squash Instructor Fred Wright.
I suppose you better cancel that appointment tomorrow morning.
Yes, I suppose we better. What I did tell him is that Squash Coal G-Deck is flooded to the ceiling.
Stewardess Annie Robinson bumped into Thomas Andrews on Ada.
Boy, it's on to be your life belt.
Yes, but I thought he meant to wear it.
Never mind that. Put it on, walk around, let the passenger see you.
It looks rather unfair.
Well, put it on, we'll back on, we'll put it on.
About an hour after the collision, third-class passenger Gus Home passed into third-class Diane Saloon. There was many people there, praying, a number of rosaries in their hands.
In the Marconi shack, Jack Phillips received replies from his CQD distress call. Titanic's sister ship Olympic responded, but she was 500 miles away. The Cunard Carpathia was 58 miles away and making maximum speed towards them. The second operator, Harold Wright, had an idea.
What signal are you using?
CQD.
Why not try the new call? SOS. It may be our last chance to use it.
Phillips switched the call, and so Titanic sent the first SOS ever transmitted by a nation liner. On the starboard side, First Officer William Murdoch is in charge of lifeboats. At 12:45 a.m., boat 7, having been lowered into the water, is waved away, the first to do so. Though it has room for 65, only 28 are on board, not all women and children.
On the bridge, Quartermaster Wright fires a rocket into the air. Up it soared, up the rigging and the mast and the lacework, and then it bursts with a blinding flash.
A shower of bright white stars floated slowly down towards the sea. Even those that consider themselves the rankest landlubbers realised what the rockets meant. The Titanic needed help, and needed it badly.
On the port side, Second Officer Lightoller maintained a strict rule of women and children and 2 seamen per boat.
On the starboard side, men had a luckier time. There, the policy was, if no more women and children were available, third places could be taken by men. As the Titanic began to sink to the bow, the situation became much more clearer and more alarming. Many touching scenes were observed. Mrs. Isidore Strauss almost entered boat number 8, but then turned back.
We've been living together for many years. Where you go, I go.
I'm sure no one would object to a gentleman like you getting in. I will not go before the other men.
We stayed. Then they sat down together on a pair of deck chairs.
Other wives refused to go. Mr. and Mrs. Lucian Smith were having the same kind of argument. When Mrs. Lucian Smith saw the captain standing by the side of the ship, she had an inspiration.
Please, Captain, I'm all alone in this boat. Please let my husband come with me.
I'm sorry, madam. Women and children only.
Never mind, Captain. I'll see if she gets in the boat. I'd never ask you to obey, but this one time you must. It's only a matter of form to have women and children first. The ship is thoroughly equipped and everyone on it will be safe.
Are you being completely truthful?
Yes.
Keep your hands in your pockets. It's very cold weather.
Take my hand.
Carpathia.
Come as quickly as possible. Engine room filling up to the boilers.
Throughout all the commotion, Titanic's band, led by bandmaster Wallace Henry Hartley, have been playing lively ragtime tunes to keep passenger spirits up. Now the bellboys have gathered in a group on the boat deck. They seem fairly content with the situation. Mainly it seems because no officers seem to notice or care about the fact they were smoking.
Passengers than the earlier ones. At 1:25 a.m., starboard boat 13 is lowered, 64 on board, mainly second and third class women and children.
By 1:40 a.m., most of the forward boats have gone. Bruce Ismay, president of the White Star Line, assists in helping Collapsible Sea for launch. When it is ready and no further passengers respond to Chief Officer Wild calls, women and children, he orders the boat to be lowered away. Collapsible Sea is the last boat to leave the starboard side.
And down below, third-class passengers are still being held back by their own reluctance to go through signs saying first class only beyond this point. And now streams of humanity poured up from below and surged into the stern of the vessel, which was still rising to the air.
Captain Smith goes through the wires operators.
It's every man for himself!
Jack Phillips chooses to remain at his station, still sending the distress call. Captain Smith returns to the bridge where he stands alone as the cold waters of the Atlantic rush in. Band leader Wallace Henry Hartley taps his bow, ending the ragtime, and the band plays Nearer My God to Thee.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
God, have mercy on us.
Thy kingdom come.
God, help us. Please help me. Someone help me. Someone help me. Someone help me. Someone help us. Please, please help us. Please help us. Please help me.
in half. There are over 1,500 people still aboard. Many fell or jumped into bitterly cold water, the most clung on as Titanic finally died beneath the surface.
As Titanic disappeared, Bird Officer Pittman, who was in a lifeboat, looked at his watch and announced it was 22 minutes after 2 in the morning. It was April 15, 1912. Titanic had begun her journey to the ocean floor, 12,000 feet below.
Having raced at top speed to the rescue, vessel Carpathia picks up the first lifeboat at 4:10 a.m. and the last at 8:30 a.m. All of Titanic's survivors are on board Carpathia, a total of 705. An estimated 1,522 souls have been lost.
News of this. The greatest maritime disaster in history was too slow to reach. The public and initial reports were quite inaccurate. At their New York office, Philip A.S. Franklin, Vice President of the White Star Line, told reporters,
"We place absolute confidence in Titanic. We believe her to be unsinkable."
Then word spread of the message Bruce Ismay had sent from Carpathia.
Deeply regret to advise, Titanic sank this morning, 15th, after collision with iceberg, resulting in serious loss of life. Further particulars later.
Southampton quickly became a city of mourning. Flags flew at half-mast, and crowds gathered almost every street corner to discuss the dreadful event. In the districts of Northam and Shirley, nearly every able-bodied man followed the scene.
a small boy called to our newspaper office on Wednesday.
Have you any news of the crew of Titanic?
No, I'm afraid we haven't.
Do you think my brother was sick? He's 14 and started as a bellboy.
I'm sorry, we don't know.
All of Titanic's bellboys were lost.
The first survivor list were posted on April 17th. In the ever-changing crowd outside the Canute Road offices were young women with babies. Babies who laughed and crowed in the sunlight while their mothers grieved with eyes which had known no sleep throughout the night. There were old women, some crying quietly, others seeking to comfort sobbing daughters.
What are we waiting for, Mummy? Why are we waiting for such a long time?
We're waiting for news of Father, dear.
My lonely heart is breaking, but I still stand here waiting. Please tell me he's coming home again. Deep down inside my heart I hear sounds of his voice so clear, so I will stay watching names appear. Standing, waiting, watching the names appear.
slowly moved away. In the humble homes of Southampton, there is scarcely not a family that has lost a friend or a relative.
During the coal strike, many out-of-work families sold or pawned their furniture to buy food. Many are now returning to dark, empty, and now fatherless homes.
The White Star Line stopped the wages of all surviving crew members from 2:20 a.m. Monday, 15th of April, the moment Titanic sank.
Ships hired by the White Star Line recovered a total of 328 bodies from the area surrounding the sinking. A total of 1,507 lives have been lost. On April the 19th, the United States Senate began an inquiry into the sinking.
April 24th. As Titanic's sister ship Olympic is leaving Southampton, her black gang,
The Stokers to you!
went on strike. Yeah, we ain't working on a ship what don't have enough lifeboats for everyone. What happened to our mates on Titanic ain't gonna happen to us.
285 crew deserted the ship.
And the Olympics voyage had to be cancelled.
Hooray!
From May the 2nd to July the 3rd, the British Border Trade Inquiry was conducted. 25,622 questions were asked of 96 witnesses. Lord Mersey, who had led the inquiry, concluded
That the collision of the Titanic with the iceberg was due to excessive speed at which the ship was navigated, that the proper watch was not kept, that the ship's boats were properly lowered, but the arrangements of manning them were insufficient.
Not one third-class passenger was called to testify.
Let me also say that the inquiry shows that there was no discrimination against third-class passengers in the saving of life.
other conclusions of the American and British inquiry would eventually lead to several important changes and developments.
In 1913, the first international conference on the safety of life at seafarer was held in London. 13 nations agreed on a number of issues concerning ship design, including the principle of boats for everyone.
All ships will carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board, and there will be training for all crew and lifeboat procedures. And on ocean-going vessels, a lifeboat drill will be held at least once a week for both passengers and crew.
Vessels will carry enough radio operators to man a 24-hour watch.
In 1930, the International Ocean Corps was created and run by the United States Coast Guard, intended by all nations for shipping.
In 1985, a Franco-scientific expedition led by Dr. Robert Ballard discovers the wreck of the Titanic at a depth of 12,460 feet.
Bleeding all over the debris field are these personal statements. And these are women's shoes. You can see that where she might have laced them up in little high heels. You know, Mother Nature, when bodies land on the ocean floor in the deep sea, they remove the body. And what's left is their tombstone, are their shoes.
the ship as fast as we could, because one has to do that, because I believe the suction when the vessel goes down is absolutely enormous. And we rowed away, and I didn't close my eyes at all. I saw that ship sink. And I saw that ship break in half. And the forepart went down nose first, and the stern of that ship stood up in the water for quite a long time, or it seemed a long time, didn't it? Keeled over. And we heard the dreadful sound of people drowning, which was, unbelievable.